Good morning. It's Monday, May 4th. Today I'm going to teach you how to find the volume of a cylinder using a formula. Your week at a glance, you have 2 assignments this week. You have to complete 30 minutes of ALEKS and pass 3 lessons. And you have to watch my video, of course, but you already are. And then on Tuesday on Edulastic, there will be a lesson 10-1 practice D available for you to complete. It will have additional examples and problems asking you to solve for the volume of a cylinder. Okay, so let me show you what that's going to look like. Here we have a cylinder. Cylinders are can-shaped things. Okay, to find the volume of a cylinder, you use the formula that we have. Here's our formula. What does all this stand for? Well, V stands for volume, obviously. Pi, on all of these videos, we're going to use 3.14 for pi. We'll just use that for pi. There are other options. In the assignment itself, the answers are multiple choice, so you just have to get in the ballpark to know which one's right. R stands for radius. That's radius. There are 2 things that measure the distance across a circle, radius and diameter. Radius is the shorter of the 2 words. It's the shorter of the 2 lengths. Diameter is all the way across. Radius is half the way across. We always need half the way across when we're doing volume. And then H is the height of the cylinder. Don't let that confuse you. Sometimes cylinders are lying on their sides and it looks more like a length, but it's just not the measure of the round part. Okay. So in this particular cylinder, we have a radius of 7. That's our radius. And this is our height. And they're asking us to find volume. So using the formula, you would say volume equals pi, which we're going to use 3.14 for that, times the radius squared. The radius is 7, and that would have to be squared, times the height, which we know is 12. Okay. Now we're going to use 3.14 for pi. 7 times 7 is 49, and then we multiply all that times 12. I've worked these out in advance. The volume for this one turns out to be 1,846.32. Okay. Now, if you were doing this in Edulastic, perhaps the correct answer would be 1846.3. It might be rounded to the nearest tenth. All right. Just know that you've got the right answer, and that's the one you would want to pick. Okay. Now, this example is one where they've given you the diameter. So one of the things you're going to have to do here is you're going to have to cut that diameter in half to find out what the radius is. So for volume, that's the ugliest V of the day. For volume, we're going to use 3.14 for pi times the radius. Now, if the diameter is 12, the radius is half of that. So the radius would be 6 squared times the height, which is this distance here, 8. When we put all that in the calculator, of course, 6 squared is 36 times 8, and we plug it all in, and we will get 904.32. Multiple choice answer might be 904.3. Okay. Now, this is an example where the cylinder is on its side. Like I was telling you, this doesn't really look like a height right now, but it is. All right. You always have the measurement of the circular part of the can, and then you have the other measurement. That's called height. Here they did give us the radius, so we have volume equals pi. We're going to use 3.14 times the radius, 4 squared, times the height, 10. Plug all that into your calculator. Obviously, 4 squared is going to be 16. So when you plug all this in, you get volume is 502.4. Just like that. Pretty straightforward. It's just the can's laying on its side now. Another can on its side, only this time, again, they've given you diameter and you need radius. So you're going to want to cut that diameter in half. Pi, we're going to use 3.14 times the radius. If the diameter is 14, the radius would be half of that, or 7. And remember, we have to square the radius, and then times the height, which is the other measurement, to be 11. All right, so you would do in your calculator 3.14 times 7 squared is 49. That's 7 times 7 times 11. And you would just plug this all into a calculator. If you don't have a calculator, you can download the Desmos app to your cell phone, or you can go to desmos.com and use an online calculator there. Okay. We get 1692.46. Multiple choice answer might just be 1692.5. Why did I change that 4 to a 5? Because 6 is 5 or greater, so it rounds up, which would make this 4 or 5. Okay. Now we have your word of the day. If you're watching this video, you will know that today's comment word is frog. So if you comment the word frog, I will give you credit for watching the video. Okay. Next example. Now we have some these examples here. Let me move this down a bit. Okay. This example is an application problem. This has got multiple steps. Okay. They've given you the full-size Coke can, and you know those little mini Coke cans, they give them to you on airplanes and stuff. Well, they've given you these two cans and the dimensions, and they want to know what's the difference in the two volumes. Well, when we're talking volume, we don't want to know fluid ounces. You can't just subtract the fluid ounces. We're talking the volume in cubic inches, okay? So what you're going to have to do is figure out the volume for the big can and for the little can. So the big can, volume equals pi, we use 3.14, times the radius. They've given you diameter, all right? What's half of 2.5? Well, you could put that in your calculator, 2.5 divided by 2, and you will get 1.25. And you're going to square that. We always square the radius, times the height of the big can, which is 5 inches. So this would be 3.14. 1.25 squared is... oh, it was some awful number. We're just going to put this all on the calculator, though. Nobody really wants to mess with that. And the volume on the big can ends up being ugly. 24.53, 3125. So now we need the volume of the little can. Volume equals pi, again we'll use 3.14, times the radius squared. The radius on this can is 2, or the diameter is 2. The radius is half of 2. Half of 2 is 1. And that would be squared, times the height of the can, which is 4. This is kind of easy because 1 squared is 1. So really what we're multiplying here is just the 3.14. You can go times 1 if you want, times 4. And we get the volume of the little can is 12.56. But the question has asked us, what's the difference? Difference always means subtract. So you're going to take the volume of the bigger can and subtract the volume of the smaller can. And when you do that, you find that the difference is 11.97125. Okay, it needs rounded badly. Now, if we look at the number we want this number here, usually we round to the tens. If we look at this number, it's a 7, so that rounds up. What happens when you round a 9 up? It becomes 10. This really rounds to approximately equal to 12, okay? And so if you're looking for a multiple choice answer and you got this number, 12 is probably the right answer, okay? All right. And my last example for today, can of SpaghettiOs. Now, I loved these as a kid, but now as a grown-up, when I eat them, I'm like, how did I ever eat those? Terrible. This one is kind of a working backwards problem. I'm giving you the volume, and I'm asking you to find the radius, okay? Well, it's going to look a little different because I've told you the volume is this right here, okay? So instead of the V, I'm going to write that number, 527 0.52. That's volume. I still know pi is 3.14. Radius is the thing I don't know, so I'm going to leave that r squared. And I do know the height. The height is 10.5. Okay. So my next step then, I don't know if my handwriting is ever going to get better with this thing. My next step is to go ahead and multiply the two numbers together. This is this number times this number times this number. I don't know what r squared is, but I can go ahead and multiply 3.14 and 10.5 together. That gives me 32.97 times r squared, the thing we don't know what it is. Well, think of this as just any other, if you had 2x and I was trying to get x by itself, you would divide it by 2. This is a much more hideous version of that. To get r squared by itself, you're going to want to divide both sides by 32.97. Now, if you're panicking, don't. We probably wouldn't put something this difficult on your Edulastic assignment, but you better believe AIR would give you something like this. These two divide out. And actually, ironically, these two, 527.52 and 32.97, if you divide those, you get 16 equals r squared. Now, 16 is not the radius. 16 is the radius times itself. So just like with the Pythagorean theorem, we need to take square root of both sides. The square root of 16 is 4. And the square root of r squared is r. So to answer the question, the radius of the can is 4. So that's what you're going to be doing this week. It's all cylinders, and all the problems will use the same formula. You just have the one assignment on Edulastic, and Mrs. Dolan has embedded videos into that assignment. If you still don't get it, you want to watch her videos too. And if you have any questions, email me or text me or call me. And yeah. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.